Good evening. This is the first in a series of interviews with Virginia Russell, talking about her memories of her life. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for asking me. And I should say, I always am upset when people on TV don't say you're welcome, so I'll say you're welcome. But thank you also.
So I just wanted to start with a framework of family. Maybe in another one we'll get to what you know about the history of your parents. But I wanted to start with your earliest childhood memories. Where did you live? What do you remember about the house?
Well, I guess the first house that I remember was a duplex. So that means that we had half of the house. We had no windows on one side because it was connected to the next house. And I must have been about 6 or 7 that I remember living there. And we had a back entrance. It must have been lower than the front because we had a lot of steps going from the back door down to the backyard. And we had to go out that way to the back of the yard where the garages were located. And that's where Daddy kept his car.
What address was that? Do you remember?
It might have been DuPont, but I'm not sure. So, because it was from there that we moved to Pressman Street, and that's where his mother had been living with his sister and brother-in-law. And for us, some reason, they decided to move to another house, and my father bought the house from them, so we moved to Pressman Street.
And how old were you then?
I was 7, and that's where Marjorie was born.
Okay.
And I remember the night that she was born. Well, my mother's sister, Margaret, had come to visit us, and I didn't know why particularly she was coming. But of course, it was to help my mother with the new baby that was arriving. But also around the same time, my father's sister, who was married and had 3 children, asked whether my parents could keep the girl for overnight. And of course, my mother said yes, even though the baby was expected. Sure, come on, bring her on. So she was sleeping in the bed with me, and would you know, we heard a baby cry. And she said, "Who's that? What's that?" I said, "Well, it sounds like a baby." She said, "Yes." She said, "Well, maybe it's your aunt's baby." I said, "No, my aunt doesn't have any babies." And so we heard the baby cry during the night, and then we found out that I had a baby sister.
So she was born at home?
Yes.
With a midwife? Do you know?
No, the doctor came. They called him, but it was in the middle of the night. And we were so surprised to hear that a baby had arrived.
Did you know that you had a baby sister coming, or?
No, I wasn't really aware of it, and my father's sister-in-law didn't seem to know it either, or she would not have asked to leave her children there overnight when a baby was almost due. But they came and they stayed, and somebody took care of them. I guess my Aunt Margaret took care of them, because she was there to help my mother.
Do you have one memory that you consider to be your earliest memory?
No, I can't say that I do. It would have been sometimes when I played with some other children before Marjorie was born, when I knew I was the only child.
Did you have any sense of what your father did as his job and what your mother did?
Well, when we moved to Pressman Street, I remember that my father worked as an electrician or an electrician's helper. And every time he came home, his hands were so dirty. He used a very hard, hard scrubbable soap, special soap, to get his hands clean. But then it must have been shortly after that he took the exam to work for the post office, because that's the job I remember most of all, that he was a postman. And he was a wonderful postman. Of course, he loved to walk. He loved to be outside. So he had been offered the job. Later on, he'd been offered the job of being postmaster. But he said no thank you to that, because he didn't want to be stuck inside all day long just sorting mail. So he would much rather been outside walking up and down the streets. And that was nice for me, because I came home for lunch when I was in elementary school, and my father did too. So we just walked down the alley and up the street and up a couple more blocks, and that's where my school was, and then another block, and that's where my father's post office was. So we walked together at lunchtime.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
What was your mother doing at this time? Was she playing in the church? Was she doing anything outside the home?
I remember when I was young, and I don't know how young I was, she worked in a department store. She was just selling whatever happened to be available. It was just a part-time job for her. And in other times, she was a substitute teacher. She liked to do that. She did play piano in the Sunday school, but that was a very stiff competition, because there were other people who played the piano. And so she wanted to play for the Sunday school classes. And Norman Bowder's father wanted to play, because he played the piano. And Uncle Harold's wife, Mary, played the piano, and her sister Beulah played. So we would have playoffs where they would, each one would play a hymn, and the congregation would decide who was going to be the Sunday school pianist.
Was that a paid job?
No, of course not. It was all
So
honor.
it was still a competition for an unpaid job.
Yeah, all unpaid glory. And then when I got to be old enough to play pretty well, I was in the running too.
Now, which church was that?
That was the Salem United Brethren Church, right in the middle of a block. That's the church where my mother's father was a minister. He was there when my mother was going to Goucher, and when my father was home from the service. So some of the others close to my mother's age were living at home also. But that's how my mother and father met, by being members of that church. And they were always very active. I can remember always very active in the church. I think their lives centered around the church. Whatever was going on, they were there.
So when she was trying to be the pianist for the Sunday school, I believe you told me she had taken piano lessons at Peabody.
Well, she didn't actually enroll at Peabody. She didn't take lessons at Peabody. She took lessons from a woman who taught at Peabody.
Okay.
But she was not enrolled at Peabody as a student.
Okay. Was that before, after, or during this time when you were little and she was playing at the church?
It was before that time, when she was in went to Goucher for 1 year.
So before you were around.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
So what are your memories of infant Marjorie entering the household after her birth?
Well, I was always very happy. I always loved having her around. Of course, she idolized me because she had to do everything that I did. To the point, I remember this one occasion that I must have been 12 or 13. I was in the bathroom squeezing my pimples on my face, and she was sitting on the edge of the bathtub watching me longingly, and she said, "I wish I had some pimples to squeeze." So she had to wait a while for that. And then of course, I took piano lessons, and she must have been about 7 when they decided to get her started on violin. And a member of my father's family gave them a violin.
Hmm.
I don't know who it was, someone related to Daddy. And Margie was amazing because in the first day she had it, she could play little tunes on it.
Ah.
Yeah.
Now, had she played piano at all?
No, Dad.
So
And
she started right in on it.
right in on violin. Hmm.
And was your mother teaching you piano?
No, I had piano lessons from the woman who lived across the street. She was a piano teacher. Her name was Miss Elfleda Lance, and she was a good pianist. And you could see the piano students coming in and out of her house to take lessons with Elfleda. And one boy I liked, he was nice. I'm sure he was a good pianist because he was so nice looking. And, and then it was my turn. I would go walk across the street, across to her house, and have my piano lesson. And she was amazing because sometimes maybe she hadn't finished her lunch, so she'd be in the back room and listening to me play. And she'd say, "No, that's an F sharp." So she could tell what I was playing, whether it was right or wrong.
So was she a married lady or single?
No, she was a maiden lady.
A maiden lady.
Miss Elfleda Lance.
What did you think about her?
I liked her. I thought she had a nice life. She had curtains at her doorway leading into the living room, where the piano was. There were curtains there, so she could pull those curtains back and forth if she wanted to. Or she could go in the other room and listen to you play. But she always knew when you made a mistake. She always knew that.
How long did you stay with her as a student?
Well, probably until I went to college. First year went to Lebanon Valley College. Because I was playing some pretty difficult music, and I was 16.
I know you've told me you played the Rustle of Spring.
Yeah. I played Rachmaninoff's Prelude in C sharp minor. I played Liebestrom.
And so that was all with her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Was she instrumental in getting you to go to music
No,
school?
no, because I went to Lebanon Valley because that was our church college. It was, and my mother's brother William had gone there, and I think Harold had, and Catherine had gone to Lebanon Valley College because it was a church school. Mm-hmm.
Well, going back, before we get to college, going back to, what was your earliest school? Did you attend nursery school and kindergarten?
I don't remember.
So what's your first school memory?
Well, it would have been the elementary school that I walked to with my father.
Which was?
I think it was number 57. All the schools had a number.
And that was a public school?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What do you remember about school? Did you have a specific group of friends? Or
No, but I do remember that sometimes we'd have our music class would go into the auditorium where there was a piano. So anyone who played the piano could play. So I would volunteer to play the piano for them, for my class.
as part of the music class?
Yes,
Were you overall a good student?
yes. I was a very good student.
And then were you still at that school when Marjorie started school?
No, I wouldn't have been at that school. Probably would have gone to junior high school.
And what was your junior high?
What was a junior high? It was number 49 because that was a school for the advanced students to go. You would go for 3 years. You would do 3 years of work in 2 years. It was geared to students who could do the work faster. But we had to go to school on a streetcar. You get the streetcar right out in front of my door. I think it was number 12. And take the streetcar down to the school number 49. There was also number school 79, which was within walking distance, and that's where we went to take our sewing classes. You have to walk over there. But it was an honor to be chosen to go to school number 49.
Did you need change for the streetcar?
Did I need change?
Did you have to pay
Yes.
a penny or something?
Yeah, probably a quarter.
Or every time?
Yes. Every time you get on a streetcar, you have to pay.
So just because you were a student, you didn't get any special rates or anything. Mm-hmm. So what do you remember about that school, about your junior high?
Well, it was rather crowded. I think they had 2 or 3 floors, but there were a lot of children attending there. And then they had a yard that I think it was paved with brick, that extended from the school to another building, which was the gym. So you had to go and walk outside from one building to another for your gym classes. But there were boys there. I liked that.
At the junior high?
At number 49, there were boys.
Had there been at your elementary school?
Yes.
Yeah, but you were more aware of it at junior high?
I was aware that there were boys there. Mm-hmm. They were smart boys. They were good.
Well, so you were all smart because it was an advanced
yes,
school.
We were all smart.
What did you know about that school in comparison to other schools? Was that considered like a college track school?
Yes. Yeah.
And if you hadn't gone to that school, what would have been the other schools?
I would have gone to the regular junior high school. 3 years of junior high school, 7th, 8th, and 9th, and then from there, high school. But because I went to that number 49, I was just in junior high for 2 years. But I did 3 years work.
And what did you think of the people at the other school? Were there interactions with people that went to the other schools?
No.
Mm-hmm. Did you have to wear a school uniform?
No.
Mm-hmm. So what years would that have been, roughly?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Well, you would have been how old?
Well, I graduated when I was 16
From senior high.
for junior high.
And how many years of
So
senior
that,
high?
and that was in 41. In 41? Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, I went.
So it would have been late 30s
Mm-hmm.
when you were in junior high. Did you wear makeup to school?
I don't think so.
But what would have been something normal for you to wear to school?
A blouse and skirt. Yeah.
Were there, was it kind of everybody wore the similar things? Or were there people, like today, some people are really outlandish when they go to school, or did you have students there that kind of pushed the envelope?
I don't remember thinking about that very much at junior high, probably more when I got to senior high because I would have been in the 10th grade there because I had 10th, 11th, and 12th grade in senior high. And we were more aware of the dress code. Yeah.
So when you went to senior high, were you young because you had gone to the advanced
Well, I was
junior
younger.
high?
See, I graduated when I was 16 from
Right.
high school.
So you were a year younger.
Yeah.
So the people who went to the 3-year junior high and the people who went to your junior high all went to the same high school?
Yeah.
That's interesting. While you're on a roll with high school, do you want to finish up high school?
Oh, I got along very well with the girls at high school. I was voted to be. See, you had class
Now, was that an all-girls school?
all girl school. Yes.
So high school was the transition to an all-girls school.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there was another all girl high school in Baltimore. We were Western High School, and the other school was Eastern High School. Then there was a boys' polytechnic school, all boys, and then there was a one where the boys were headed for college. That was called City College, although it was a high school, but that was an all-boy high school. So they had those 4 main schools in the city.
How common was it for the girls in your high school to be thinking about going to college?
To be doing about what?
To be thinking of going to college?
Oh, in my class they were. Yeah.
That's common. Who was your best friend?
Mary Elizabeth Backer. And the teachers used to get us confused. Not that we looked so much alike, but we always did everything together. She was Mary Elizabeth and I was Virginia Elizabeth. So they got us confused.
What did you like about her?
I don't know, she was nice, she was fun.
Did you do stuff together outside of school?
Yeah, to some extent, although she didn't live too near me. And then there was another good friend, Martha Elliott. We had quite a few in our class who did things together. We would go to each other's home before holidays.
Oh.
For Christmas and birthdays and things. Mm-hmm. But the thing was, we had class officers, president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. And I was so good with money, I was elected to be the treasurer. The class treasurer, wasn't that a laugh?
Did you, because it was an all-girls school, I guess you didn't have things like homecoming queen or things like that?
No. We would have afternoon tea dances. The girls would dance with each other in the gym. We'd have dances where the girls danced together because we didn't have any boys.
What was the purpose of that? Just to teach you to dance? Was it like a dancing
just
lesson?
To be sociable.
But that was part of your school curriculum?
Well, it's part of school activity.
During the day?
Mm-hmm.
What else? What would be the normal classes of each day?
Chemistry, biology, physics, math, French, or German, Latin,
Did you
science.
take Latin? Did you take Latin?
I think I had a year of it.
French and German?
Then I decided I wanted German. Mm-hmm.
physics? You studied physics?
I think biology. I didn't have physics.
Did they have you mentioned taking sewing during junior high.
Yeah, we had.
Did you have home ec classes as part of your all-girls school?
Not in the high school.
Not in high
We
school.
didn't. I guess if they were particularly interested in that, those who were could take sewing classes, but I didn't.
Okay. Were in your gang of friends, were you all interested in music, or is that something that made you stand out?
Well, Mary Elizabeth Backer was a singer, so she was in the school chorus, and the others weren't interested in music so much. So I played trumpet in the orchestra. And so every time we'd have an assembly, the orchestra would play. You
Oh, okay.
play for the girls to walk into the auditorium. And then the chorus would be on stage and they would always sing for the assembly. So you were special if you were in the chorus.
Well, thank you. We'll pick up in senior high and talking about your plays, because I know you've told me some about that, but we'll pick up there next time we talk.
Okay. I'll stop by and talk to you.
First installment of the Memories of Virginia Russell.